Hello beautiful people. Last episode ended when Ismail and Medayam joined in by using their arrows. Sir Kazra cast a worried glance at both Ismail and Medayam, pondering to himself. Ismail and Medayam approached Azadin swiftly. Medayam, visibly concerned, inquired, "Azadin, are your eyes unharmed?" Azadin responded, though uncertain, "I can't say for certain." Ismail, reflecting inwardly, realized, wait, now that I think about it, he doesn't even have eyes. So, how exactly is he seeing? Ismail then shared with Azadin, "On my way here, I encountered two knights who charged at me without warning. I dealt with them accordingly." Medayam added, "I see. And you didn't kill them." "We did well, wouldn't you agree?" Azadin acknowledged, "Remarkable." Sir Kazra observed Ismail and Medayam and thought to himself, for one so young to possess such mastery over archery, and to have subdued not one, but two trainee knights? He then accused them, "So, you belong to the Herald Clan, the Heralds, followers of the Emperor, aren't you? Soulless blasphemers. So it's true, the people of this farm were cultists all along." Azadin countered Sir Kazra's assumption, which means, you massacred them indiscriminately, without even being certain of the truth. Sir Kazra fell silent, then Azadin, then gesturing with the spear he had taken from one of his trainees, said, "That short spear, clearly not designed for combat against humans. It tells me everything. You came here as hunters, and in the midst of your hunt, you must have mistakenly taken a life. Most likely, you mistook those gathering herbs or mushrooms for wild beasts, and shot them down, and the massacre, it was nothing more than an attempt to erase all evidence." Sir Kazra, infuriated, yelled, "Silence yourself, you soulless, blasphemous wretch." Azadin then proposed, "Offer reparations to the village and swear an oath to become a penitent knight of atonement. Do that, and I shall spare your life." Sir Kazra, with a sneer and holding his sword confidently, retorted, "Ha! And tell me, why should I entertain such an absurd notion? From the way you carry yourself, it's clear, you hold a rather high rank, even among the heralds." Suddenly, a golden light appeared around Sir Kazra and in the air above, taking the shape of a golden hammer. Sir Kazra, smiling, proclaimed, "If I capture you, everything will be settled." Listening to Sir Kazra, Azadin faltered and said playfully, "Do I truly appear to hold such a high position?" Behind Azadin, both Medayam and Ismail were shocked. Then, as Sir Kazra lifted his sword, the golden hammer in the air moved towards Azadin. Preparing for the attack, Azadin positioned his spear towards the incoming golden hammer. Azadin then threw his spear at the golden hammer, which struck and spread golden light, followed by a cracking sound as the spear shattered. The golden hammer then struck the ground with a booming noise, prompting Azadin, Medayam, and Ismail to run to avoid the strike's impact. Then Azadin noticed arrows in Medium's quiver. While taking arrows from Medium's quiver, Azadin remarked, "I'll be taking this." Meanwhile, Sir Kazra continued to attack Azadin with his golden hammer. Azadin agilely jumped from side to dodge the attacks. While dodging, Azadin thought to himself, "Such brute strength, truly formidable." Then, Azadin leapt backward and removed his bow from beneath his shirt around his belly. He loaded 2 arrows into the bow, aimed upward, and released the arrows. As Sir Kazra prepared another strike with the golden hammer, he moved his hand to strike. From behind, Medayam shouted, "What do you think you're doing?" Sir Kazra, noticing the arrows, smirked and said, "Ha, you can't even aim properly." Then, Sir Kazra lunged forward to launch an attack on Azadin, sword in hand. Azadin stood calmly, holding the bow in one hand. As Sir Kazra's sword came down to hit, Azadin vanished, and the sword only struck the ground. Puzzled, Sir Kazra thought to himself, where did he go? What in the world? Suddenly, Azadin appeared behind Sir Kazra. Azadin caught an arrow, then drew it, and as he fired the arrow just above Sir Kazra had no chance to dodge the incoming arrow, which passed straight through his head. Medium's eyes widened in disbelief. Then, looking at the fallen Sir Kazra, she asked Azadin, "What is that technique?" The second arrow also came back, and Azadin caught it as well. Looking at the arrow, Azadin replied, "It's a technique called arrow rebound." The scene shifted to a barn at dusk. Azadin returned with the body of a farmer, laying it gently on the ground, an arrow still embedded in the man's belly. A child ran towards the lifeless forms of her parents and cried out in despair, "Mom, Dad." She then sat beside her mother's body, weeping. Azadin, standing nearby, watched the grieving child. His gaze then shifted to a trainee knight tied up with ropes. He addressed the captive, "What will you do now? If you offer reparations to the bereaved families and swear to become penitent knights of atonement, I shall spare your lives. The bound trainee knight exchanged glances with his comrades, each contemplating their dire situation. One of the trainees spoke up, "All right. Very well, I understand," Azadin replied. Before he could continue, a loud voice interrupted from behind. "No, you cannot." Azadin turned to see three farmers approaching. A woman, nearly hysterical, clutched a sickle. An elderly man exclaimed, "They murdered my son. They butchered him like an animal." The woman advanced, asserting, "Cultists? That's absurd. We have been devoted to the king's church for years." As she reminisced about the hardships endured during droughts, her eyes reddened with anger. "Even as drought threatened us, we never resented the church," she yelled. One of the tied-up trainees retorted, "Shut up, you filthy commoners. How dare you speak against a holy knight?" But before he could finish his taunt, the woman swiftly decapitated him with her sickle. The other knights panicked as she turned her sickle towards another, declaring, "It makes no difference. If you remain alive, that alone is a curse upon us." She executed the second knight, his blood soaking the ground. Azadin observed the scene, pondering the harsh realities that lay ahead for these farmers. "If you kill these knights, you forfeit the protection of the king's law and must abandon your farm to live as nomads," he thought, recognizing the difficulty of such a life. As the sun set, Azadin prayed next to the newly dug graves. Turning to Ismail and Medayam, he reassured, "It's settled. At the very least, you no longer need to fear these knights rising as the undead." Medayam, contemplating the gravity of their actions, wondered, "But isn't it blasphemous to consecrate the king's church's holy knights using the methods of the rescue knights?" Ismail, curious, inquired, "Had they truly vowed to become penitent knights, would you have considered forgiving them?" Azadin turned back to face Ismail, reflecting on the question. To be continued. This is it for today's episode. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment. See you in the next episode, stay tuned.